Okay, hello everybody. It's been a little while since I've chatted with all of you. Been a very busy 2022. So what we're here to talk about today is a little app that we released, and it's mostly something that it's come out of the experience of working with a variety of different customers and some of the challenges that we've needed to overcome to help them out. Is this wonderful little product called InTally. If you've watched my live stream of putting an app on App Source, this was the app I used to demonstrate how that process works. And that was a joy to create as a video, so I strongly encourage people to check that out. But what is InTally? A legitimate question that everyone asks if they hear about it at all. It's a little app that helps make custom inventory availability calculations in Business Central. The idea behind this is that when you're looking at entering a sales order or you're looking at an item card, your business has lots of different things about it, or your customer's business has lots of different things about it that need to be taken into account in understanding what's available or not available. Some of those things are built into the solution, like locations, reservations, and those sort of things. But sometimes there's business logic or intercompany needs that aren't really met by the current product. So the idea behind this is to have the ability to filter on specific locations. You could pull from custom fields, for example, and you can do some creative things around item categories. So let's go take a look at how the product works. Today is going to be a shorter seminar, webinar, than the Data Brader product. So the idea behind the InTally solution is that you define your calculation rules that you want your customers and your users or anyone using your system to be able to easily see some availability information. So for example, a pretty common thing to need to know is I have my inventory, I have my quantity coming in on sales orders, I have my quantity going out on purchase orders, and maybe I'm also making some assembly orders out of this item. So if you look at the item card, all of those fields are there, but you need to do the math on them. When you're looking at an item card, it's not really super obvious what the result of those different values are. So we can see that in my demonstration company, I've got this inventory of 43,000. I've got a bunch on sales order. I've got some on purchase order. And if I show more, I can see what's on assembly orders. There's not a built-in quick look at this item card to see what's available or not. So the idea behind InTally is that you can make these calculation steps so that things are maintained, things are created, and you can use that information, and it shows up in a variety of places. As we can see here, we're doing a plus, minus, some pluses, and we can test out the calculation for a given item and see what the logic is behind it. So for example, here, using our Kronos example of a desk, we can see that we've got 43,225 in inventory and 218 are spoken for, so there are 43,007 available. That's, pretty nice. It's okay. It's useful out of the box at the moment, and if there is more requests, more demands, we'll add it in more places. Out of the box at the moment, InTally adds to the item card and to the sales order fact boxes. We can see down here we've got that basic inventory calculation configured as one of our company's calculation rules that we want to expose to everyone. And so we can see that 43,007 is here on the item card. Here on the sales order. If we click on it, we can also see what that number comprises of. So if there's additional logic that you want to apply, great, we can do that. So that's nice. It's okay. I'm pretty reasonably happy with how that came out. But where you really get into some of your abilities that you can't do so easily in the base product is, for example, you can add some multiplicative steps. Say, for example, you want to have an inventory with a buffer. Maybe, you've got, for some items, they're pretty commonly damaged and you don't want to overpromise, or maybe there's a normal queue you want to keep a certain amount of stock in house. Well, with this calculation, you do that and you get the 38,902. So here we've taken our inventory and we multiplied it by minus 10%. Now we've got a buffer. Okay, well, that's kind of nice. You'll notice that here I've got this marked as display as safe inventory, and we did not see that on our item card and on our sales order. So more on that in just a moment. The other sort of things that are very valuable is I've seen scenarios where people asked, is there a way that I could have my inventory and be able to minus out some of the things that are in warehouse locations or those sort of things? So absolutely. Here we are taking our item inventory as a baseline, and then we're subtracting out from the warehouse entry table the quantity, and we have the ability to build filters. And see here, I'm taking out a minus operation of all of the warehouse entries that are in the location called full and in the shipping zone. So you can build filters to say, I only want to subtract certain things. I've worked with customers in the past that maybe things have been received into inventory, but they haven't been through the QA process yet. So how do you accurately show that, yes, I've got 120 in inventory, but they're still on the receiving dock because no one's done the QA work on those yet? With this, you would just define that you want to have those filter out all of the quantity on the receiving dock. No problem. Okay. So that's pretty nice. This can also pull from any custom tables, any custom fields. So if, for example, you had a custom module that was going to consume some extra items that was a custom table, absolutely, no problem. Just pick your custom tables from the list here and subtract those out, add those back in. That is all completely doable. So if you have a great ISV solution, for example, where maybe you do rentals of equipment and some of those are things you would sell later, well, you can minus out things out of a rental ledger entry, for example. Be able to very quickly do those extra calculation steps. The other thing that I've been asked a lot of times with being able to display inventory is, well, it's nice that I can see what I have in stock, but I want to see what's in stock in the other company while I'm on the phone with the customer and not have to do a change company. So this tool also gives you the ability to say, okay, well, let's grab the item inventory that's in my current company, but let's also go grab what's in stock currently over in the Kronos 19W1, my other company. And let's show you what that looks like. And so if we go over 1920-X again, we can see that in my current company, I've got 43,225. But in the other company, the item ledger entries, all that, tally up to an extra 10. So I could promise more. They're going to come from the other company. The other thing that I've been asked in the past to solve on this is, for example, if you are pulling information from other companies, it can be a little hard to see where some of those numbers comprise. How did we arrive at those numbers? So if we go, apologies, clicked too quick. If we go to our fact box here on the sales inventory, we see that we've got the basic inventory and we've got the safe inventory, but that intercompany one and the warehouse calculation, we don't have them here. That's true. What we can do with the InTally solution is we decide what information we want to make available to the standard items throughout the system. So that way you can choose what calculations apply to all items in your system. So for example, I could choose to have intercompany be one of those, and I can choose the warehouse one as well. And for the technical people who are watching this stream, one of the easy questions is how is this performance-wise? That's obviously a lot of calculation. You know, if you've got lots of users, it maintains the information in a separate table from the item card. And it maintains it through a job queue. And additionally, you can trigger different events to do an immediate update, which is what all of these options down here below are. It allows you to performance tune if you're one of the professionals setting this up for your customer. Additionally, if something has gone wrong, the job queue has stopped, or you didn't set it up, which it does automatically for you. If any of the information has become stale based on this warning here in minutes, so if the information is over 2 hours old, it'll say to the user, hey, you know, I haven't updated this calculation in a little while. Do you want me to update that for you real quick? And it will do so immediately. So now we've added to our default calculations for all items these 4 rules, and it'll say we've changed these. So okay, it runs the calculation, updates all of the buffers under the hood, and now when we come back into our sales order, our InTally fact box now includes those 2 new configuration calculations that we've set, including that intercompany inventory where we saw 43,235. If we do the drill down on here, we can even see that that information came from those different operational steps. And interestingly enough, here on the second line, which is information from the other company, we can go ahead and click on that, and it will let you know. It's going to show you source data from the other company, but there are some limitations on what we can show from other companies, so it kind of gives the user a little bit of a warning. This is great, for example, if you wanted to show purchase information from another company. You'd be able to see all of the purchase lines and see all the purchase order numbers involved, so that way you know where that information is coming from. So this item ledger entries is from the other company right now. Pretty handy. I'm pretty proud of how that works. Additionally, because we did update the settings and everything, when we go to the item card now, the InTally calculated availability is showing those 4 settings, as we saw. And you can decide when you configure these different calculation steps how you want those to be displayed to the user. So for example here, we said intercompany inventory is the description for this. Maybe my Cronus company that is over in the other country. I'm in Sweden. Maybe this is Sweden plus Norway as far as stock. So Sweden plus Norway. Okay. Now if we head off to look at the sales order. And we get the fact box open here. We'll see that the description is updated. So you can make the description be anything that, just like the data, you can make it make sense for your organization. So that's the meat of this one. Additionally, because that's a really useful thing to be able to fine-tune this sort of calculation. For example, we could filter out all items that are blocked, all sorts of different things like that. And then we do have built into this solution an API endpoint against the InTally data set here. We can see that by item number, we get all of those availability calculation values. So you would need to work with a partner consuming this API to let them know, you know, availability 1 is my calculated availability and this is the logic behind it. But it presents all this in a nice, really fast query. Since this is all stored and calculated by the job queue, the results on querying this are really fast. I tested this out with a 15,000 item and it was just fine. So very, very efficient. Just like everything else with our solution, you will find this available, more information on how this works and everything here in the products section of the SpareBrain website, in our App Source Solutions section, where we've got all the info about DataBrader. InTally is right here. If you wanted to go test drive this in a sandbox, I set this up to be exactly like Data Breeder. So in a sandbox environment, you can try this out for a couple months if you want to. It uses our licensing modules, so it's just a matter of install it into your environment. It'll run in a demo mode for a week in production and 2 months in a sandbox, and just let you try it out. So I would encourage you to do that. And with this, we also break down the same sort of rules apply on this one, that it's $140 per month, just like Data Breeder is. And I have not saved the update to say that it's not coming soon. It's out now. But just like our Data Breeder solution, we have the affiliate program set up so that partners can sell this to their customers and receive a benefit of that annual subscription or monthly subscription, as well as you can reach out to us directly and buy it from us directly, and we would pass on a partner margin to you. So if you're working with a customer and this is a good solution that will save them some time, it is a nice no-code way to be able to allow, in an environmental sort of way, be able to control what do you see when you're looking at the item card for availability info. And I think that's about it. Let's see, just like everything else, because this is configured in the system, you can build all the configurations up in a sandbox. You can config package those right out to another environment or to another customer. So if there's a custom configuration that works really well for you and your customers, just make a config package and bring the data along with you. And that's about it. So, a little bit shorter than our Data Breeder tour, but I think this one is still a pretty useful way of presenting the information you need in a good way without having to code lots of different pieces. So, as with everything else, if you go, this does 90% of what I need, but I need just one more feature to really make this pop for one of my customers who has an explicit need on this, reach right out. Let me know. I'm always up for adding features to stuff. I take a very iterative approach. So this to me is a good version 1. I would love for some more features to add to this to be version 2. So hopefully this will be of use to some of you folks out there. And with that, since I don't see any questions in chat or anything like that, which is perfectly fine, then I guess that wraps up today. So, all right, 2 weeks from today, we will be having another live stream session, and we are going to be talking about, for those of you who haven't read it already, we'll be talking about the first 20 hours with Business Central, which I still like my dead tree version. So we'll talk through lots of the components of what's in there and why is it useful to people. So hopefully folks will be up for joining along with that. All right, well, take care everyone, and hope you have the rest of the week go well.